So I'm just at Victoria Station as a starting point. We are going to be travelling one stop to Exchange Square. I know, very long journey. As I publish this, Exchange Square will have finished its 10th year in service. My upload schedule, coincidentally, lines up with its opening date. So let's go to Exchange Square. Let's talk about it.
This is a service to East Didsbury via Exchange Square. The next stop will be Exchange Square.
So, the second city crossing, 2cc for short, was built as a second way for trams to travel across the centre of Manchester. The original route, which is now called the first city crossing, goes via Market Street. But as the network expanded in the 2010s to places like Didsbury, Ashton, etc., having the entire network centralised at this one junction here was becoming impractical, especially if the network was to expand even further. It wasn't going to help if there was only one route through the city. 2cc was seen as the most beneficial and cheapest to execute method at the time, and the extra route has served the network quite well for the past few years, allowing for the Metrolink to run at a greater capacity, but 2cc is definitely not, and was never meant to be, the permanent solution to the core problem. But let's save that discussion for the future, and let's go back to Exchange Square. Now, the route was opened in two halves. The first half was between Victoria and Exchange Square. Exchange Square is that way, the tram line that curves that way. And the first city crossing that goes via Market Street, the first stop is Shoot Hill, goes up Balloon Street. Oh, here comes a tram, perfect timing. Now, at the time that the second city crossing was being built, the station roof at Victoria was also being rebuilt. So along with that development, they decided to open up the part of Victoria where the Metrolink used to exit. The opening for the Metrolink at Victoria only used to be 2 tracks wide, but during the redevelopment for Victoria's roof, I think they decided to open it up a bit more so that it could fit more tracks. There is room for 4 tracks, but it currently has 3. And then just outside Victoria, it actually separates into 4 tracks for both city crossings. And you can see where the older bits of Manchester Victoria meet up with the newer bits. So because 2cc was built, if the route is disrupted on one of the city crossings, then the trams can just move onto the other one. But 2cc does still have a few flaws, like it runs mixed with road traffic for most of its route. It's often disrupted by just road traffic congestion. The first city crossing, on the other hand, runs mostly in like tram-only sections, so it doesn't really have that problem. So that's also something that is like a disadvantage of 2cc. But another problem appears with the first city crossing because it's connected to the Piccadilly Spur, which means that there has to be some like complicated signalling for the Delta Junction, which makes those trams even slower. Now, the route only ran for about 400 metres past Victoria Station, I think. As mentioned before, 2cc was opened in 2 halves, the first between Victoria and Exchange Square, and whilst the second half was being built, trams would turn around using this crossover track. This crossover track is actually one of the advantages of 2cc, as the first city crossing actually doesn't have a crossover track anywhere along its route. Now, the second half of the route was opened in February 2017, which connected Exchange Square to a brand new St Peter's Square. St Peter's Square tram stop actually used to be closer to this side of St Peter's Square, closer to Oxford Street, but it was relocated, which involved a complete remodel of St Peter's Square. But technically, the second city crossing doesn't end at St Peter's Square. For outbound trams, it ends at this junction here, where the line merges with the first city crossing again. And for inbound trams, the ending point is slightly different. For inbound trams, the route actually starts at these points on Windmill Street, and pretty much every single time there's a tram here, it has to slow down quite significantly or even stop entirely for the route to be set. I'm still not sure completely why this happens. Maybe that's a topic for a future video. And you can see like the two pairs of rails stay together for quite a bit of time actually. Now, Exchange Square's layout of seats is quite different to how they are across the rest of the network. Usually you get them in like groups of 3, and they're quite close together. But at Exchange Square, I think it's the only stop that has this. They have seats in groups of 2 instead, and the seats are a bit spaced out as well. Oh, okay, it sounds like the cathedral bells are starting. Hope you don't mind. And across the tram stop, you can see it's not just one canopy along the length of the entire platform. It's actually 4 separate canopies. You do see the same canopies at St Peter's Square. I think the glass is like tinted green and the supports are painted black. But here you don't really see a tint on the glass and the supports are yellow. So yeah, Exchange Square was never really meant to be a permanent solution, and 2CC as a whole was never meant to be a permanent solution to the problem of trams all meeting up in the city centre. Oh? I thought the bells went on for quite a while. But it does serve areas to like the west of the city centre. Oh, there the bells go again. Like, for example, Manchester Cathedral, and areas like Deansgate as well. Also, the platforms at Exchange Square are 55 metres long, and a double tram is about 58 metres long, meaning that the stop markers for trams actually aren't on the platform at all. They're just past the platforms, so that double trams can be perfectly centred on the platform, with all of the doors still in the right place, able to be accessed by passengers. So you'll see the stop marker for drivers is actually off the platform, maybe about 1.5 metres. Also, today marks 26 years since the first half of the Eccles line began operation, but it was a less round number and I missed the 25th anniversary video last year, so I thought I'd try and make it for Exchange Square this time. The Eccles line is similar to the second city crossing in another way, since it was also opened in 2 halves. I think I've rambled on about Exchange Square enough now. If you enjoyed this, subscribe if you like, and thanks for watching.